What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pursuit of Progress podcast. As always, I'm Adam here with my co host, Benjamin Adams, and we're doing one today off the cuff. We don't have a whole lot specifically planned to talk about, other than probably the biggest topic right now in Denver, Colorado, as well as really the entire United States as we head into the summertime here in 2026. And that is, it starts with the letter A, and it is not my name. It's not Ben's last name. It's the name affordability. And affordability is something that is on the top of everybody's mind. It's on the top of every article that you read, newspaper, anywhere you look today. It's all about affordability. I filled up my gas tank this morning after working out with Ben at the gym, and I didn't even need a full tank of gas. I needed like 3/4 of a tank, and it was $130. So that's just
Yeah.
an example of and I think gas is one of those things where, it's not like it's breaking the bank just that by itself, but it's just a nice thing that everybody has the same, they can relate to it. So that's why I'm bringing that one up. But it's just insane how affordability is definitely tight at the moment, challenging. And we're getting ready to host another brand new masterclass, an online webinar right after we finish recording the podcast today. So we're just kind of getting ready for that. And we just love to talk to you guys for a few minutes before that, all about affordability. So, Ben, what's your take right now on affordability?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real concern, and especially for some of these bigger markets like Denver, it's an even bigger concern. I have a chart here that I made that's going to be debuting on my social media pages here in the next hour or two, so check this out. It's housing costs as a share of income. Can you guess what the third most unaffordable state is? Colorado. Only
Hawaii?
California and Hawaii are the only two states that are more unaffordable as a percentage of income. So in Colorado, for example, your housing costs as a share of your gross income is over 33%. And that's not your net income, which is very, very different. That's going to be off of your gross income. So your net income is going to be even higher than that. The only two states that are ahead are California and Hawaii. So affordability is a really, really big concern right now. Property values are elevated. In some markets, they may have come down slightly, but overall, they're elevated. Interest rates are also elevated. They're not, the mid sevens like we were a year and a half ago, but they're also not the historically low rates that we experienced during 21 and 22. So interest rates are elevated. And then you have the other characteristics that make up affordability: property taxes, homeowners insurance, and HOA. And all three of those have gone up pretty substantially. Not every property is going to have HOA, but a lot of these condo communities, townhomes, the HOAs are really increasing. So when I think of affordability issues, there's really three different things that I think of. I think of monthly payment, which is what we're describing right now, but then there's also down payment. So because property values are so much higher, down payment affordability is also a big deal. And then there's also the paying for the closing costs of the transaction as well. This is what people don't understand, though. We have a tendency to get really stuck on the headlines and the problems and not talk about the solutions. And right now, here in Denver and across the United States, if you're working with competent real estate and mortgage professionals, there are going to be ways that you can tackle all three types of affordability issues. If you are someone where monthly payment affordability is a concern, there are ways to attack that and make properties more affordable through temporary interest rate buydowns, permanent rate buydowns. With the temporary interest rate buydowns, we're going to cover this later tonight on one of our seminars, but you can get the interest rate 3 full percentage points lower in year one than whatever the note rate is. So if the note rate is 6.25%, it is possible to have an interest rate of 3.25% in year one, 4.25% in year two, 5.25% year three before it matures to 6.25. So that's a great way, a great affordability tool to consider if you're someone who you think that your income is going to increase. Maybe there's going to be more career advances, or maybe you just want to be able to ease into home ownership and you want to have a lower initial start monthly payment as you ease into home ownership. So that's not the only strategy, but there's other strategies. We can talk about down payment assistance, minimum down payment. There's seller concessions. I mean, there's so many different solutions. But these are the types of conversations that we need to be having, because I think a lot of buyers, they get scared, they get intimidated, they get so nervous about whatever their problem is, and they don't realize what tools and resources are out there that they may benefit from.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have another story told on our webinar tonight that you've shared on our one that we did a couple weeks ago about one of your clients recently that literally bought a home and their total out of pocket at the closing table was under or like right at $1,000. So
Yeah.
just understanding that there are paths forward, there are ways to still succeed. And I would push back a little bit for anybody that's maybe thinking that we're talking crazy right now. Think of people that have, accumulated the most wealth in the world. And I'll use an example of Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is very, very famous for talking about he made the majority of his smartest buys, the majority of his wealth off of the downtime in the economy.
Hmm.
When businesses are struggling, that's in one sense an opportunity if you understand how to look at it in a different lens.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with home buyers right now. You make the most money typically on the buy, not the sell. And this is a great time for buyers if they're prepared, educated, and just in a position where it makes the most sense, for their situation.
Yeah, and that's what is so exciting about this market. If you are someone who is in the market as a buyer, because it's been a strong seller's market for the last 15 or 20 years, especially in Denver, but most of the country. For the first time, buyers now have leverage. There's more sellers in the market. There's over 600,000 more sellers in this United States housing market than there is buyers. So what that means is that buyers now have more options to choose from. There's more inventory available. And because there are fewer buyers than sellers, if sellers want to attract the limited number of buyers, a lot of times they're going to have to be flexible on price or make those repairs or offer the concessions. And so if you're someone that is a buyer and you have this monthly affordability concern, what you can do is you can ask you can ask your real estate agent to ask the seller to contribute a subsidy for your temporary interest rate buy down. And that is happening right now. I'm doing deals right now in Colorado and other markets here nationally where that is happening. You made the point about the down payment assistance. There are programs right now in Denver, Colorado, and other markets where you can come into closing with as little as $1,000 out of pocket. And it sounds kind of crazy to say that, but it is possible and it's happening. I do several of those deals every single month. And so that is where if you are someone who has thought about, I don't know if now is a good time or not, just see what your options are. See what you qualify for. A lot of folks unfortunately disqualify themselves without actually having the facts. They don't know what their options are, but they write off. I'm not going to qualify. My credit's not in a good spot. I don't, that sounds great coming into closing with less than $1,000 out of pocket, but I know that would never happen to me. It
Hmm.
can. It can. So don't disqualify yourself. There's not any cost to talk to a lender. There's no risk involved. Just see what your options are.
Yeah, don't let the news, don't let your opinionated aunt or your parents or your friends, whoever it may be, don't let them discount the opportunities that are out there right now just because other people in the majority of the world are a little bit more pessimistic than optimistic. A lot of people are, a little bit more on the survival mindset at the moment. And yes, I agree with that in some ways, but, make that decision for yourself, 'cause everybody is in their own unique scenario here. And man, there are some awesome, awesome opportunities if, you're a qualified buyer and it makes sense for you to take action.
And I'm that same way. I'm not someone who is like, buy, 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 buy. You have to do what's right for you. And in the short term, in some cases, it can make more sense to rent. But if you're talking medium term and long term, almost always it's going to be more beneficial to be an owner than it is a renter. So, but ask the questions, do your research, see what your options are, and make an informed financial decision.
Definitely. Yep, it's gonna be something that's not going away anytime soon either, unfortunately. I think, what we thought was gonna be, 2026 where we were gonna see rates continuing to go lower and lower and just kinda get back into a more balanced market. It's unfortunately not the case, with the stuff going on in the world, Iran, the war, a lot of just things that are out of our control that have
Yeah.
really kinda delayed, some of the changes that we were expecting before. So, don't necessarily just wait and wait and wait and just assume that there's going to be this perfect opportunity in the future. The perfect opportunity exists when you really do have a thorough understanding of what makes the most sense. And I guarantee you, there's a lot of people out there right now that are making great deals, great steps forward in their financial growth right now.
Yeah, and that's why you have to have a plan and a vision for yourself, because when you have that plan, you have a strategy, you have a blueprint of what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and it's going to give you an objective every month. It's going to allow for discipline. It's going to give you the ability to say no to things that don't align with what that plan is. But you're right. Right now, I don't think this market. We've been in a kind of a choppy market. The waters have been very choppy for the last 4 years. I remember people saying in 2022, rates are going to be coming down. It's just we're 6 months away. 23, 24, 25, 26, and I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. If you're asking me what my personal opinion is, what's interesting is that the stock market is at an all-time high while consumer confidence is at an all-time low. And then you have all these political, geopolitical world events, these other things that are happening. Inflation's a concern. And so it's just unlikely that rates are going to be coming down to anywhere near what they were uh, earlier this decade. So what that means is that you're going to have to strategize and you're going to have to accept it, but put that plan together and really understand what those options are.
Because you guys, one of the best mottos about real estate is don't wait to buy real estate and wait. And for the people out there that are letting the media, the negativity, the fear, take over their entire decision making abilities, those are the ones that are going to 10 years from now be saying, "Man, I wish I would have bought, 10 years ago," and they're still renting. And instead of
Yeah.
having average net worth of a homeowner of, 350, $400,000, they're a renter, and that net worth is averaging about, I think it's like five to $10,000,
Maybe even
which is
less
a
than that.
huge
Yeah.
difference. Maybe less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had a great quote there. Here's mine. Don't it's not timing the market, it's time in the market.
Mm.
And so that's always my thing. Like if you know that you're going to become a homeowner in the next year or two, or if that's a goal of yours, then you want to become a homeowner now, today. Because the longer that you're in the market, the less risk there is and the longer time horizon that you have to build equity, pay down the debt, etc. And so it's not stop trying to time the market, it's time in the market.
Well, you guys, we just want to do a quick one here, just to give you a little teaser, if nothing else. If we're kind of spurring the wheels in your brain, you're starting to kind of think, yeah, you know what, maybe I should at least kind of take a step towards learning a little bit more about what are the options out there. Join us for this next live Denver homebuyer webinar. We do these at least once, but trying to do these at least twice a month right now.
Yep.
And if you guys ever want to sign up for one, they do have limited seats, but they are free. They're online. And just go to denverwebinar.com and grab a seat there.
Yes.
Ben and I have a ton of value that we provide on those, and we've got some people that have attended some of the recent ones that are also finding success because of the webinars. And we're just excited to hopefully continue to add value to as many people as we can with these webinars. So make sure you guys join us on the next one or one of the upcoming ones here in the near future.
What's been great about the webinars so far that we've done is we've met multiple individuals through the webinar who had questions about if they could become a homeowner before the webinar, to having that belief and that confidence after the webinar, saying, I can do this. I think I really can do this. And we've had multiple, and so it's, yes, join the webinar, check it out, and see what we can do or see what your options are.
Love it. Yep. You guys, hope you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. Thank you so much for the support on the Pursuit of Progress podcast. Ben, any closing words?
Love you guys. Stay positive and stay in there.
Stay in the fight. We'll catch you guys next time.
Yes, yes, yes. Bye.